I mean, I also read my namesake, Catherine Maher, was head of NPR, and, she said, "We're completely unbiased. Give me a break, lady." NPR said, "It sounds like Chappelle is using white privilege to excuse his homophobia and transphobia." Wait, now Dave Chappelle can have white privilege? I'm really confused now.
Bill Maher shocked many people when he openly turned on NPR after the network was accused of favoring Democrats. Most viewers expected Maher, who often aligns with Democrats, to defend NPR. Instead, he did the opposite. Maher went straight at the network, questioning its credibility and calling it out publicly. The moment surprised audiences across the country because it was blunt, unexpected, and completely unapologetic.
The heads of NPR and PBS testified before Congress this week amid accusations of liberal bias. Should the government continue to send taxpayer dollars to public broadcasters? Well, a little background here. I mean, they've been after them the Republicans have wanted to get rid of PBS for as long as I can remember. This crowd will probably do it. I mean, I also read my namesake, Catherine Maher, was head of NPR, and, she said, "We're completely unbiased. Give me a break, lady." I mean, they're crazy far left.
This is classic Bill Maher, saying out loud what others only whisper, without caring who gets offended. According to Maher, NPR isn't just slightly left-leaning. He argues it is deeply rooted in far-left ideology. Despite constantly claiming to be neutral and objective, Maher says the real problem isn't having political views. Everyone has them. The problem is pretending those views don't exist. From his perspective, NPR presents itself as unbiased while repeatedly pushing the same ideological direction, which he sees as dishonest and insulting to the audience's intelligence. What makes his criticism hit harder is that it comes from someone who usually agrees with them politically.
I think we're past the age, really, where the government, first of all, why do we need to subsidize? Why can't we have outlets like this? And we're so polarized. These outlets became popular at a time when Republicans and Democrats didn't hate each other and weren't at each other's throats and didn't think each other was an existential threat. In that world, you can't have places like this, I think, anymore. They have to be private.
Maher then raises a point that's hard to ignore. When a media organization receives government funding, questions about independence automatically follow. Even without direct interference, public trust can slowly erode. Maher argues this is why NPR should be privatized. A taxpayer-funded media outlet, especially in today's divided political climate, will always be viewed as connected to whoever holds power. NPR may have once served as a unifying voice, but in an era driven by culture wars and ideological battles, that role no longer feels realistic. Going private wouldn't silence NPR. It would force the network to stand on its credibility alone.
Just let go of the funding. I love NPR. I listen to NPR almost every day, have since 1975, when my parents used to play it in our Chevrolet Caprice when I was like 9 years old. I love it for its point of view, but since 2020, it has no longer been general. I remember in 2021, my then 9-year-old asked me, and of course she has no sense of context, I don't pump her full of things like this. She said from the back seat in a very different car, she said, "Daddy, why is it that NPR is always playing the same thing?" And I said, "What do you mean the same thing?" And I swear she said, now she doesn't have a vocabulary, but she said, "It's always about how somebody can't do something."
Concerns about NPR's bias grew even stronger after reports surfaced about its edited interview with Kamala Harris. Editing interviews is normal. Every news outlet does it. The issue wasn't that the interview was shortened. The problem was how much it was altered. Leaked footage suggested that Harris's answers were rearranged in ways critics say changed their meaning. That's where many believe NPR crossed the line. Instead of editing for clarity, it appeared to be shaping perception. For critics, this moment confirmed long-standing suspicions that NPR doesn't just report news, but frames it in ways that benefit certain political figures.
And that's what she was getting at, was that I wouldn't have said that about the NPR that I knew back in the day, and I wouldn't have said it 10 years ago, but that is what it is now. I will listen to it daily, but it's no longer a general audience venue that you just give up national funding. Yeah.
Maher fully agrees with that conclusion. He believes NPR should no longer receive public funding. If it were private, its political leanings would be clear and expected. Just like Fox News leans right and MSNBC leans left, their audiences know what they're getting. NPR, however, still presents itself as neutral while taking money from taxpayers across the political spectrum. That contradiction is what Maher finds unacceptable. Privatization wouldn't weaken NPR. It would simply remove the illusion that it speaks for everyone.
I'm just going to read this one from NPR. It's because the reviews from the critics so at variance with the audience. Rotten Tomatoes, that's a amalgam of reviews. I think in this case 7. His special got a 43%. Audience 95. Says a lot about the differentiation between real people and the...
Drive his point home, Maher points to NPR's coverage of Dave Chappelle. After Chappelle faced backlash for jokes about the trans community, NPR ran a harsh review of his comedy special, rating it just for out of 10. What stood out was what NPR didn't emphasize. The audience reaction was overwhelmingly positive, with viewers rating the same special closer to 9 out of 10.
I don't have any problem with Latinx, but it doesn't seem to be making any inroads into the communities where most Latinx people live. And so you have this sort of educated dialect way of thinking. And that's the case here, where all of these people, I think, to get back to this simplicity idea, they see that Dave Chappelle is a comedian. There are layers of wit and irony and attitude going on. And instead, we're told to just read it as if it was the Three Bears. And we're being told that that's sophisticated, when really that means that these people who are, so annoyed that anybody says some words or expresses some ideas are saying that most of America aren't.
Maher argues this wasn't just a difference of opinion. It was selective framing. By highlighting elite criticism and downplaying public response, NPR appeared less like an objective reporter and more like a cultural gatekeeper, pushing a preferred narrative.
Because you don't agree with what he said, which again, I don't think is transphobic. A lot of the special is about how he has this friendship with a trans person who is his opening